Alright, hello everyone. I'm Aiden, and welcome to the channel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of upset right now. It's Saturday morning, I recorded this video last night. Went this morning to edit it after, doing the normal stuff when you get up, getting the energy drink, doing some Japanese lesson, getting ready to edit it, and I realized the recording messed up, so now I have to re-record it, which sucks. So we're doing a much simpler form this way. Instead of what I was doing last time, you're looking at a tier list the whole time. And I'll edit in some other stuff, but yay, right? Winter anime, great season, truly amazing season, probably the best season of anime of all time, in my opinion, though I do think it will probably also be surpassed by the current season, which is spring. Yeah, so this is just going to be me talking about the anime I watched this season. I watched a lot. I think I watched 15 anime, which there are 15 here. So, we'll see if we're missing something. I don't think we are. And we will talk about that. I'm going to talk about, I'll give you a brief synopsis of the story. I'll talk about the animation. I'll talk about anything else I feel needs talking about. Then I will give you my favorite character from that season. And then I will give you like a quote or a line or a word that describes that season of anime. And then we'll give out some awards at the end, which is just whatever I want the awards to be. So, sit back, grab an energy drink if it's the morning, and if it's the evening, grab some nice chocolate milk. That's the beverage of the day. Maybe get a snack, and let's just jump into it, yeah? So we're actually not going to go by the order. We're going to go by the order that is on my notepad, which is going to start with Sentenced to be a Hero. The story is, it's a fantasy world. They have mana. I don't know if they call it mana. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they have a power system, and there's a thing in the verse called heroes, and the heroes, being a hero in this verse is a bad thing. Only criminals, the worst criminals, are sentenced to be heroes, which is why the show is called Sentenced to be a Hero. And basically you are just a slave to the government, and you have to get revived every time you die if you're a hero, and every time you're revived you lose like a piece of your soul until you eventually lose your mind. And they fight the demons, and the main character is a guy named Xylo, and we follow him and the entire hero unit as they fight off the demons. And, other stuff gets revealed. I'll try to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but there will be some things. There's some stuff going on with the government about them working with the demons. It's very interesting. The last episode especially, great last episode. It was everything you could have expected a last episode to be. It revealed some really cool story things, especially with the main girl and also Rhino. Great last episode. The story-wise, started out pretty slow, but, it really picked up towards the end, which I was happy about. The animation, it's really good. So it's animated by Studio Kai, who don't think I had watched anything by Studio Kai before this season, but it was really good. It's very similar to Mushoku Tensei's animation. Great animation, good, solid story. My favorite character from that season was His Majesty Norgal Senrage, which I did not know his name until I had to look it up to put that. Honorable mention to Rhino, though. If Rhino was in more of it, he probably would have been him. But His Majesty is an awesome character. If you watch the show, you would know that. Quote, corruption in my government is more likely than you think. We'll also briefly go through the tiers. So this is the didn't watch. There's a lot of anime I didn't watch. I didn't realize there was this. Some of the stuff I did watch, like I did watch this, but it was 2 episodes. It was a special. I'm not rating that. So we'll start at the top. The highest tier. The only thing better would be the Second Coming of Christ. And then we have S, we have A+, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, and then we have Shield Hero tier, which is the bottom worst show of all time. This is going to be the tiers for every list I ever do. I'm going to tell you a lot of the times, a lot of seasons, there's going to be nothing in the top or bottom tier. This season, there will be nothing in the bottom 2 tiers, I don't think, but they need to be there in case something is on the level of Shield Hero. Oh, and this is basically, it has to be like a top 10 anime of all time to make it in here. So moving Sentenced to be a Hero, it was a good season. I'll give it like an A+. So next we're going to talk about this, My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 2. So the story, it continues on a little bit with Koichi's vigilante activities, but that's not the main purpose of the season, at least the first half of the season. The first half of the season is mainly dedicated to flashback stuff with Aizawa in Midnight. It shows some really interesting things. It kind of shows how Aizawa became who Aizawa was, which I think was really interesting. And then the second half of the season focuses on this guy right here, if you can see that, which is Captain Celebrity, and him trying to rehabilitate his image. He's an American hero, comes to Japan. He fucked one too many women that wasn't his wife and is in some hot water, so has to try to completely 180 his image. And that's the attempt. And this guy's the main villain up here. Has some interesting powers. It's interesting. Koichi ends up helping him. I mean, the story, it's a spin-off of My Hero, so, as far as spin-offs go, it's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen, but it is still a spin-off. Animation, the animation is really good. I think the animation is actually better than original My Hero. So Bones animated it, obviously. Bones is a phenomenal animation studio. They struggle with fight choreography, but Bones has always struggled with fight choreography in my opinion. So other remarks, Koichi not being aware of Pop's feelings for him is a running theme that has continued through 2 seasons, and from my understanding it continues for the whole show, which that kind of sucks, but we're moving on. My favorite character from this season was Shota Aizawa. He might have been my favorite character in original My Hero as well. I just like Shota. I think he's a very well-written character. It's worth watching just to see Flashback Midnight, because if you watch it, you will know that's crazy. It was a good show, but, you know, nothing amazing. I'd give it an A tier. I watch a lot of isekai, and I watch a lot of garbage. I watch every isekai that airs, or at least I try to. We are now talking about there was a cute girl in the hero's party, so I tried confessing to her. I will give you a very brief rundown. Dude reincarnates, strongest demon, lazy, doesn't do shit, falls in love with this girl who was in the hero's party, confesses, she rejects him, he pretends to be a human to try to win her love, basically. Very brief rundown. It's trash, okay? The story is awful. The animation is probably the worst animation I've ever seen. Like, it's garbage, but it's enjoyable garbage, right? So it's like, this is the difference between this garbage right here, right? This show, which is the worst show of all time, is just bad. And there's nothing redeeming about it. It's just boring, right? This is garbage, but it's enjoyable garbage. Now, it is still garbage, so I'm still gonna put it in C tier. My favorite character, Yoki. It's an isekai. Like, no one besides the main character matters in isekai. Oh yeah, he also turns on the Chuni a lot. My quote is, love Chunibyo and other isekai. Tune into the Midnight Heart. Brief rundown of the story. The main character, Yamabuki, as a child, listened to this podcast, sort of. He talked to the girl who ran the podcast. It was ran by a person named Apollo. He fell in love with her, basically, but one day she just stopped posting. And so he goes to an all-boys school that integrated with a girls' school, and he makes every girl he ever meets say, I love you, in his ear to see if they have a voice that matches Apollo. And so he ends up meeting these four, who are the four main heroines, and they all have qualities and voices very similar to Apollo. So he is trying to find out who Apollo is, basically, is the point of it, and he tries to make their dreams come true, which all have to do with vocal work of some volition. So the animation, it's not great. I'm not gonna lie, the animation is not very good, which is unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. So from what I understand, also, this was a pretty terrible adaptation, because the manga is actually like really highly rated, and the adaptation just wasn't very good, which is unfortunate. It got a season 2 announced though, so I hope they can improve it. You know, that's good. And my favorite character is Iko, who is this girl. She was my favorite of the heroines, though she's definitely, I don't think, gonna win. I mean, it's like a harem anime, right? It's like quintessential quintuplets. My quote is, Yamabuki couldn't possibly be in an anime that isn't amazing. You know, where do I want to put this? Like, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. I'll put it in A tier. Ecchi of the season, Chain Soldier. So the story, I mean, it's just continuing on with the Thunder God stuff and them trying to get stronger. I mean, it's Chain Soldier. I'm not going to really explain the power. I'll say this right now. So these are all, except for you, these three are original anime. So if it's a continuation or a sequel, I'm not going to tell you about, like, the background and stuff, because I'm going to expect you know that. But, you know, Chain Soldier, like, the main character, Yuki is this girl's slave, and that's their power, and, you know, they get stronger, and he touches a lot of titties. That's the anime. The story is actually, like, fine. It's as far as ecchi goes, it's probably one of the better ecchi stories, like, explicitly ecchi. Like, I mean, like, Mushoku Tensei obviously is the best ecchi story of all time, probably. Actually, Monogatari probably is. Animation, so the animation it's average, but it's a huge upgrade from season 1. If you watch season 1, you would know the animation in season 1 of Chain Soldier was like garbage, like some of the worst animation of all time. And the reason the animation got such a huge upgrade, because it got a studio upgrade. Studio Passion began to animate this. Studio Passion, if you don't know anything about them, they're fine. They're like an average animation studio. But if you want, which Chain Soldier does, based on what it is, if you want, like, actual titties to be animated, Studio Passion is your best bet. Because most studios will not do that, but Studio Passion will, and they're, like, solid at animation. But Studio Passion taking on this project is kind of bad for my opinion, because, like, they need to animate Spice and Wolf Season 2, and I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It was a good season. It was enjoyable. Titties, yay. The story was, like, fine, but not amazing. I'd put it, like, in an A tier. So my favorite character, not on this, her name is Fubuki Azuma. She is the mom of one of the main characters. The moments she has on screen are quite entertaining. Quote is, apparently Yuki, the main character, this guy, is somehow still a virgin. JJK, season 3, Culling Game Part 1. So the story, it's JJK. So the things it covers, basically, is it covers Yuji's, spoilers, by the way, but, you know, it's JJK, I'm sure you know. It covers Yuji's execution and revival by Yuta, and then the plan for the Culling Game, and then Maki executing the Zenin clan, the recruitment of Hikari, and then 3 major fights, which is Yuji versus Higuruma, Megami versus Reggie, or Potential Man Megumi versus Reggie, of course. Everyone loves Potential Man. Yuta in the Sendai colony. So story-wise, it's probably the worst JJK season for story. Like, outside of the first, like, 2 episodes, there's really, like, no story. Which, you know, is kind of what it is. Like, I think JJK actually has a decent story. If Gege wasn't a terrorist, it would have a much better story. There's a lot of good stuff there. It's just this season, a lot of action. It kind of has to be there, so not a ton of story, which is unfortunate. Which is, I'm going to attack it for that. The animation, it's amazing, right? It's Mappa. Mappa always does great animation. I do think it's slightly overrated on the animation front. Look at this frame, right? Who is that? If you're wondering who that is, that's a good question, because that's terrible. That's Reggie. That's just what Mappa does. They kind of like blur stuff in action. They are really good at fight choreography though, so you know, I forgive it. It's great. The creative director has been rumored to be leaving, which would be really unfortunate. My favorite character is Hiromi Higuruma from this season. I really like him. I think he's a very well written character. Honorable mention to Takaba though, who does show up for a little bit. He's probably my favorite character. That's not true. He's my second favorite character in all of JJK behind Toto. We're gonna put this in A+ tier. I think it's good. These are not ordered, by the way, the tiers. Or like inside the tiers are not ordered. My quote, the only time in the series Potential Man is useful. Back to Garbage Isekai. Hell Mode. Dude, hardcore gamer, like shut in, neat dude, you know, as every isekai starts. He's looking for a hardcore game to play. He finds it. He finds this random game called Hell Mode. Starts trying to play it, gets teleported to this world, gets reincarnated, maybe. I'm not sure if they're in a game world or not, like, it's kind of ambiguous. Starts as an infant and has to he's a summoner, and, you know, he has powers, and he's strong, but he's on Hell Mode, which means he gains XP at, like, 1/10 of the rate of everyone else, so he has to work really hard to become strong, and he becomes really strong. It's an isekai. Right, the story is pretty decent, like, it's not amazing, but it's okay. The animation is, like, a little below average, but it's not bad. I'm not going to talk much because Season 2 is coming in the summer, so I'll talk about it more there, probably. My favorite character is Alan. Once again, it's an isekai. Like, what are we talking about? There's no one besides the main character. It's a B tier though. It's like, it's not amazing. It's better than this though. Like, this is garbage. Description is, it is Diet Mushoku Tensei. That is like the best description you can give. Very Diet Mushoku Tensei, because Mushoku Tensei is like A+ or S tier. More isekai. Easygoing territory defense for the optimistic lord. That's half the title. The other half is way too long. The guy dies, gets reincarnated as a child, is super strong, is a genius, has production magic, which everyone looks down on, but he uses it to build a great city. So basically, he's son of a noble. Because he has production magic, he gets exiled, and then he builds his city up to be really big, right? It's called territory defense for a reason. And, like, he meets people, and, you know, there's multiple people in love with him. Multiple women, of course. It's an isekai. It's like, it's your generic isekai. Like, it's somewhat different because it's a little slice of lifey, especially at the beginning. The animation, it's slightly below average. I would say it's probably a little bit better than Hell Mode. There's less CGI in easygoing territory defense. Who knows anything about characters in isekai besides the main character, right? It's a B tier. It's on par with Hell Mode, maybe a little worse. But it's Bob the Builder Isekai, is how the best way to describe it. Fire Force. This season is interesting. It basically just covers the Great Cataclysm arc. It's interesting, it is rushed. The story is Fire Force, like, I'm gonna expect you know what you're talking about. It just covers the Cataclysm. The characters are interesting. I think it had a lot of potential, really, the story-wise. And the animation, I think, is pretty good. It's not like Mappa level. No, none of the big 3 studios released an anime this year. So, technically, Wit did, but talk a little about Studio David, what's going on with fucking JoJo's right now, with the worst release schedule of all time. That might be Netflix's fault. The problem is the pacing is terrible. I'm gonna put this here. This is not where it's going. I'm gonna move it. I just want to be up here. The pacing was garbage. And now, normally, when I hear garbage pacing, you would think, like, One Piece pacing, but it's the opposite problem. The pacing is way too fast, and I knew it was going to be that way because going into it, they had 13 episodes to adapt 80 chapters of a manga, which is insane. So from my understanding, they cut quite a few things. The pacing was not great, obviously. I still think it was pretty good. It was not my favorite season of Fire Force. If it had like 24 episodes, I think it could have been really good. With it being what it was, I give it like an A tier. Which I know is probably a hot take, because I think this is the highest rated Fire Force season, but you know, people are stupid and think Solo Leveling is one of the greatest shows of all time, so. Quote is, wait, Fire Force was a prequel? Always has been. What are we talking about next? Hey, it's already where it needs to be, baby. Hell's Paradise. Okay, Hell's Paradise was the anime, besides this one, that I was looking most forward to in the season. Hell's Paradise, before this season, was in my top 10 anime of all time. Season 2, basically all it covers is the Tenzin fights, which is unfortunate, because it does mean the story fell a little bit by the wayside, with the exception of, like, the other executioners and ninja coming from the mainland, where we got to see a little bit of them, but not a ton. As the story goes, there wasn't a ton. Like, it reveals the backstory a little bit, not so much of Gabimaru, or even of any of the characters, really, but of the Tenzin, which is interesting. Obviously, where it shines, the action and the animation. It's good animation. It was not as good as I think it should have been, because Mappa animated it, and obviously Mappa was also animating JJK at the time. Especially, I think it's in the Ran fight, that they use CGI for the flower form, which is really unfortunate. It was still really good animation, though. I do think it was worse than season 1, which is why it's not going in S tier, it's going in A+ tier. Favorite character is Tamiya Gantetsu Sai, who is the samurai. He is quite funny in this season. The best quote of the whole season is, "Woman with a great ass," is how he addresses the female shinobi. Quote is, "Gabimaru is the best husband of all time." Literally all he does in the show is talk about how much he loves his wife and how much he has to survive for his wife. You and I are polar opposites. It's really good. So obviously Gyaru girl, loner guy, standard shonen romance, except instead of spending fucking 40 episodes trying to build up their relationship and then being stupid and talking past each other, that happened in the past before the anime. And so the first episode, they already have feelings for each other. They confess their love for each other in the first episode. What a cool concept. Great job to respect our intelligences and just move on like that. I really like that. Mainly just follows their relationship as it blossoms and also the friendships and some other relationships with... I'm squinting, and I'm going to be louder because when I squint, I have to go closer to my mic. These two and these two also have relationships going. It's also getting a season 2 in summer. The animation is average. It's not great animation, but, you know, it's a rom-com slice of life. It doesn't need great animation. Also, the author of this has another anime currently airing. It's called Ramparts of Ice. Favorite character from this season was Shuji Taira, this guy. He is such a downer, and I think it's very funny that he's a downer. I'll put it, it's A+. It's a great anime. Quote of the season, it is the least stereotype anime of all time. Continuing anime. The only continuing anime I was watching was To Your Eternity. Once again, I expect you to know the story of To Your Eternity. Fushi, he's immortal. He obviously went dormant in the end of season 2 to try to kill all the knockers, and it's been like 1,000 years or something, and it's now modern day, and he is reawakened because he thinks he eliminated all the knockers. It turns out they hadn't. They've just adapted to become like microscopic, and by the end he has learned to he's trying to find a way to basically coexist with the knockers. First half was very slice of lifey. It was a great season. It was actually my favorite season, story-wise, of To Your Eternity, which I know isn't a popular take. The animation, it's average. You know, average animation. Not bad. My favorite character from this season is Bon. Probably, I think the other 2 seasons of To Your Eternity would go in A tier. This is going to go in A+ tier. I really like this season of To Your Eternity. Quote is knock knock. Couldn't think of a good quote for To Your Eternity, I'm not going to lie. To Love Through a Prism. The story is there's a girl from Japanese. It takes place in like 1920s England. The girl Lily Ichijoan. She is a painter in Japan, and she moves to Britain to join an Academy of Arts to try to be a painter, and her family gives her 6 months to be #1 in the academy, otherwise they're making her come back home. And she basically meets a bunch of people, and she falls in love with Kit, who is a painter who's also a noble, and it kind of shows their like coming together and then going apart and then coming together again. It's a really good anime. The story, it's heavily based around art and romance, so if you don't like romance and or art, you probably are not going to like Love Through a Prism. I think it's really good. The animation, I will say it's good animation. It is not up to WIT standard, which is kind of standard for their ONAs. Their ONAs are never going to be as good as their main TV shows. I think WIT is one of the 3 best studios of all time. I think the 3 best studios of all time are Kyoto, Ufotable, and WIT. A little disappointing for WIT, but still good animation. So WIT Studios, they released this. It got an 8.51 on MAL, I think, which puts it in the top 100 anime of all time, which I don't think is that good, but, you know, good for them. It does strengthen my opinion that WIT is probably going to be the studio of the year for me, because they also have Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring that's airing right now, and Sense of a Bookworm that's airing right now. It's a little liberal, especially the ending, which, you know, I don't love. Like, we don't want the communist fags to take over anything, right? But, you know, it is what it is. Favorite characters is Charles Brandt, the teacher. I really like him. The honorable mention to Dorothy, though. I like Dorothy as well. Quote is painting and dating. That is the best way to describe it. I would say it's an A+ anime. It was good. Two best anime of the season. Buy it. It's a fucking landslide. We'll talk about Oshinoko first. I liked the first season of Oshinoko. I was not the biggest fan of Oshinoko, though. It was like probably around the midpoint of the anime I've watched. I never really liked it. I think drama's not my favorite genre in general. But this season of Oshinoko fucking changed my mind on the show. This season was amazing. Best season of Oshinoko. One of the best seasons of anime I've ever seen. Like, it was really good. Especially the last episode was maybe the best last closing episode of a season that isn't like the end of a show I've ever seen, which is good because the ending of the next season is probably not going to be very good. I'm expecting to know the story, right? Aqua and Ruby are reincarnations that are born. Their whole goal is trying to kill their father, basically, especially Aqua. It covers a few arcs. I'm just going to call it the Dark Ruby arc because at the end of season 2, Ruby found Sensei's corpse and turned into Dark Ruby and is obsessed with killing the perpetrator of the crime. And by the end of the season, she reverts from Dark Ruby to normal Ruby. The story is great. It covers a lot of things. Great characters. Talk a little bit about the last episode because obviously I think it's the best. So spoiler warning, Aqua admits to Ruby that he knows that she's Serena from her previous life and that he's the sensei from the previous arc. And that reverts her from Dark Ruby to normal Ruby, but it does have the added consequence that Ruby has always been in love with Sensei, so now Ruby is in love with Aqua. And obviously they're twins. So, you know, I can't believe they just animated it as it was. I really respect Dogokobo for that. The animation, I will say, is really good. I think Dogokobo did a great job. I think Dogokobo is one of the more underrated studios. The only big shows they've had is Oshinoko and Alia. I think they will be doing good stuff in the future. They are animating this year also Though I Am an Inept Villainess, which I've heard is one of the better villainess stories, and they are animating an original called Mobius Dust, which they animated an original I really liked in the past called Plastic Memories. I have high hopes for that too. The only other thing I hope Dogokobo does is the final season's already been announced. I hope they change the ending. The manga ending is atrocious, possibly the worst manga ending of all time. Also, quick thing. So once she finds out she's Sensei, there's the whole, you said we would get married when I'm 16. Sensei, I'm 16 now. I should say I've already turned 16, because I think she's 17 when she says that. But someone points out on Twitter, and I think it's funny, it's in the manga as well. So she is talking to herself in front of the mirror wearing pants and a dress. She walks out of the bathroom to start walking to Aqua's room, stops, takes off her pants, and then continues into Aqua's room. That's something, man. But rating-wise, I think it's S tier. It was amazing. I think there's a big gap between 1 and 2, and a big gap between 2 and 3. The quote of the season for Oshinoko is "Wincest, baby." We're talking about this. Let's just get this out of the way. The ranking. It's the only thing better would be The Second Coming of Christ. It's so good. Frieren is my second favorite anime of all time. I think season 2 was just as good as season 1. Frieren, I'm gonna expect you know it. It's basically Frieren was part of the heroes party that killed the Demon King. The story of Journey's End takes place after that. Most of it, you know, is just the average stuff where they're wandering around, getting closer to heaven, which is their goal is to reach heaven so she can talk to her companions again. And so they have travels and they help people, and it teaches life lessons basically. The one major arc that happens is the Divine Revolt arc, but it's amazing, very chill. So if you're expecting a hype beast anime like JJK or any of these three, really, that's not what you're gonna get, right? So go into it knowing that, but it is just divine. This is my second favorite anime of all time. The animation, Studio Madhouse, I think this is their best work ever, animation-wise, and I think it's some of the best animation of all time. I will mention this because most people use Mal. There is some cringe Mal behavior going on with JoJo's fans. JoJo's fans think Steel Ball Run should be the #1 anime of all time, so they are review bombing Frieren. And because Frieren Season 1 has so many people that love it, it is not going to be affected that much, but season 2 has. And so it's like an 8.97, I think, on Mal. That's cringe behavior. Don't do that. Also, author hiatus. We only got 10 episodes because the author had to take 2 indefinite hiatuses in the past 3 years, unless they wanted to just not have a new season for like 5 years. This was the best choice. Hopefully the author can get back to normal. So that's the end. That's the tier list. Also have a tier that we're going to call Should Have / Will Watch. There are a few anime that I kind of wished I would have watched, and I just didn't. So one of them is Shiba Yugi. I know a little bit about this anime. I watched like the first 3/4 of the first episode. The animation was so terrible, I decided I wasn't going to watch it, which I probably should have just watched it. So Studio Dean animated it. Studio Dean might be the worst animation studio of all time. Like, they're so bad. I've heard it's pretty good, and it's an interesting premise. What are we looking for? You. Taemon's B-side. JoJo, I've heard it's really good. I'm not gonna lie, I heard Glaze from after the first 2 episodes. Saw it was animated by JC staff, and decided I wasn't gonna watch it, because this was right after the disaster that was One Punch Man Season 3. But looking back, I probably should have watched it. Alright, we'll talk about You. Watch it all the way. Slice of Life, I probably should have watched it. I like Slice of Life. You. Journal with Witch. It's the second highest rated anime on Mal. It was supposed to be really good. It's a josei, which I know nothing about josei, but it's supposed to be amazing. I just didn't know it existed until like 7 weeks into the season, and so I was already too far behind to watch it, but I am going to watch it soon. I will watch it soon. This is mainly just stuff I couldn't watch for one reason or another. Fate Strange Fake, we'll talk about that. I had not seen any Fate at the start of the season. I have now watched Fate, Unlimited Blade Works, Heaven's Feel, and Zero, and I'm going to watch Grand Order soon, and then after I finish Grand Order, I'll watch this. So I will watch it soon. Medalist, haven't seen season 1, heard it's amazing, that I'm going to watch Medalist season 1 soon, then I'll watch season 2 after that. It doesn't even exist in English anymore yet, but I will watch it when it comes out. And then You, it's a movie, it's on my list, I'm going to watch it pretty soon. Great anime season, all in all. Now it is time to hand out some awards. So first of all, we're going to start with the big one, anime of the season. Who could it be? A big surprise, it's Frieren. Not even close. Oh, I forgot to give you the free run quote. So my free run quote to describe it is, oh, I forgot to give you the favorite character. My favorite free run character this season was Methode. Methode, I don't know how to pronounce it, but she was a very entertaining character this season. Then the quote is, I think this is basically the modern day Odyssey. I think that's the best way to describe free run. It's that good. Prize of the season, both of these could make a case, but I think You and I Are Polar Opposites was significantly better than Sentence to Be Hero, so gave it to that. Best animation, it's free run. Hope and see JJK fans. The fight of the season. So there were some great fights. So I think the Sentai Colony fight deserves a mention. I'll mention Dragon versus Arthur because I think that was a great fight. I think the answer for me was Genau and Stark versus Revolt. I love when Stark gets to fight. I think they're always very entertaining, very well animated. Ship/couple of the season. I mean, there's only one option. Come on, we all know it's Aqua Ruby. Obviously the best ship of the season. Overrated anime of the season. This does not mean it's bad. It's just being overrated. It's JJK. I do not think JJK. I think it might be the worst season at JJK. This is my favorite award that I'm going to give out every season. This is Terrorists of the Season. And this is going to go to generally someone in the anime manga space that did something just like unforgivable or just really pissed me off. This season, it's co-winners. And the co-winners are Gege Akutami and Tatsuki Fujimoto, who they're friends, I think. So they can share this award. We'll start with Gege. So he is the author of JJK, if you didn't know. He wrote a spin-off called Modula. Modula was really good. And then the last 3 episodes, I don't know what the fuck happened. It just ended super randomly, and it was super rushed. It's like they were setting stuff up, and like it was just, I don't know what happened. That's why he's there. Tatsuki Fujimoto, if you don't know, is the author of Chainsaw Man. From what I understand, the ending is not terrible, despite what a lot of people say. But it was very rushed, and Fujimoto is held at a higher standard because Fujimoto is genuinely an amazing mangaka. It's not as egregious as what Gege did, but I know Gege is a terrorist already. I expected more out of Fujimoto. Honorable mention to Crunchyroll. So we'll talk about a few things. 2 class action lawsuits and 2 data breaches, as well as there's a few anime missing from Anime of the Year, which should have been there. I think like Orb and ReZero are probably the 2 main, especially Orb. Orb is amazing. I don't know how that didn't make it onto Anime of the Year. Best OP of the season. This is the last award I'm going to give out. I'll give some honorable mentions first before we give the winners. First of all, I think Freyren's Lulu by Miss Green Apple was a great opening. I think JJK's Aizo by King New was really good as well. I think You and I Are Polar Opposites. Megane wo Hazushite by Noah was a really good opening. But the winners, I have co-winners this time because I just couldn't pick one. So first co-winner, Oshinoko's Test Me by Chan Mina was amazing. It's just such a good opening. Also Hell's Paradise's Kasuka no Hana by Tatsuya Kitani and Baby Metal was also really good. So those are winning opening of the year. I'm gonna real quick go over the anime that I will be watching next season. I was talking about it while looking it up, but then I realized that I have the website I watch anime on my homepage, and I don't want people to find out about that because I'm gatekeeping that shit so it doesn't get shut down like High Anime. So these are what I'm watching: ReZero, Tensora, Witch Hat Atelier, Angel Next Door, Diamonds of the Shadow Realm. This is by the author of Fullmetal Alchemist, by the way. Sense of a Bookworm, Farming Life in Another World, I Made Friends with the Second Prettiest Girl in My Class, Liar Game, I Want to End This Love Game, Marriage Toxin, Ramparts of Ice, Agents of the Four Seasons, Gals Can't Be Kind to Otaku, Needy Girl Overdose, Garbage Isekai 1, Garbage Isekai 2, Garbage Isekai 3, and Even a Replicant Can Fall in Love. And I think that's it. And more, obviously. I'll give you my prediction for anime of the season. It was originally going to be You, because this is one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. My prediction for Anime of the Year has changed. I think it's going to be this one. I think it's going to be Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring. If you haven't watched this, watch this anime. It is, the first episode was the best first episode I've ever seen. But yeah, that's it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you like it. Thank you for watching. And of course, my opinions are my own. You're welcome to disagree with me, because it is okay to be wrong. And I hope you have a blessed day, and goodbye.